Welcome to Matt Mulls Over with me, your host, Matt Leonard, and I talk about things on this show. This is my second episode. I'm going to try to start having production values, although that's kind of wishy-washy because I don't have any sort of editing software. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, and I'm recording this on a webcam. That being said, I talk about things happening in entertainment news. Anything from movies, TV shows, video games, music, blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to talk about it, things that are interesting me, things that might be interesting you, and just kind of my own feelings on it. So, this week, I'm recording this May 19th, 2016, and yesterday, Universal Pictures announced that they are creating a new cinematic universe based on the books by Robert Ludlum. You might know Robert Ludlum as the author of the Bourne franchise, the Jason Bourne, Bourne Identity, something, whatever. The Bourne movies, starring Matt Damon. And some other guy on that fourth one. But, so they're creating a cinematic universe, much like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, based on the books that he has written. He's written over 20 books. He died back in 2001, but he wrote over 20 books. I think it was like 27. And they're going to make some sort of weird cinematic universe, beginning with the Jansen Directive, which is going to be starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as, I believe, the title character. And I don't know what the heck they're doing. Marvel came out and they had characters. They had characters that might not have the best name recognition. People didn't know who Iron Man was, really. You would recognize him, but it wasn't the weight of Batman, Spider-Man, the X-Men, Superman even. Even. Superman has pretty big weight to that name. But, so Marvel came out and they had characters that people cared about. But with something like Robert Ludlum's series of books, how much do people care about them outside of like that group of people? People who like these spy thrillers. Obviously people do. The books were massively popular. But I really don't think that they know what they're doing here. Dwayne Johnson's a great actor, but from what I can tell, he's probably not the best for any sort of legitimately serious dramatic role, which is what I think this is going to end up being. It's probably not going to be as actiony. What am I saying? It probably will be. The screenwriter for this film is going to be James Vanderbilt, and I don't think this is going to pan out well for them. It'll probably do well financially, but it's not going to do well critically, I don't think. And the cinematic universe that they're trying to create, I don't know if people really want to experience it in a way. This is like what was happening a few years ago and what's still kind of happening with video games, where you have massive successes such as League of Legends that are making millions and millions and millions of dollars. But all of their competitors, such as Dota 2, Smite, and a million other garbage video games, trying to cash in on that. And that's the exact same thing that's happening with every other cinematic universe, where you have the big guy, Marvel, and then everyone else trying to replicate that and grab their own piece of the pie without really understanding why the Marvel films are doing well. So, why are the Marvel films doing well? I believe the reason for that is that not only are the characters likable and the actors, the roles well delivered by the actors, they don't take themselves too seriously. Even, your spy thriller, which would be the Winter Soldier in a lot of ways. Captain America, the Winter Soldier, has lighthearted, fun moments. And that's the key to, I think, their success, where it's like, this isn't a Captain America movie. This isn't an Iron Man movie. This is a movie about people who happen to be Captain America or Iron Man. It's the same reason why it's really the reason why the Marvel movies work. You know, Captain America, the First Avenger, is a period, World War II, like, film. You know, it's a war film, but it's a war film from the lens of the Marvel Universe, starring Captain America. And that's why it does well, because it's not trying to be, you know, a superhero movie. It's trying to be a movie with superheroes. Although they have problems. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is not just cinema anymore. It is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's Agent Carter, which got canceled, I believe. It's several other, like, Netflix original series. And you run into this problem where if you don't have people watching these other things, there's, you know, plot points and stories that are entirely unknown to the main movie-going audience without any sort of explanation for why these things are happening. Like, Age of Ultron begins after, essentially, an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has led up to that point. And if you're just going into that movie without having seen any of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you wouldn't know what the heck is going on. Obviously you would, because you pick up on it, but you don't have the depth there, which is the whole point of that cinematic universe, but you're almost getting to the point where there is too much depth, and people can't grasp everything in there. You know, people talking about Thanos in Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, he's collecting all of these 6 orb treasures, whatever you want to call them. I forget what they're called. But he's collecting all of these things, and like 3 or 4 of them have shown up, but you have the same problem where it's like, if you aren't following these 3 or 4 or 5 extra, you know, television series and one-shots, then you are missing a massive portion of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Cinematic Universe should be able to stand on the cinema of it. And it's standing a lot on the television right now. My second problem with the Marvel Cinematic Universe is that it just is getting way ahead of itself. And this is happening with DC as well, where they have plans for movies 5 years from now. Obviously, you have plans for movies 5 years from now in most of these, you know, big budget, you know, studios. You know what you're making in 2020. But the problem is that you don't advertise that. You aren't like, oh, we're going to have Spider-Man 3 in 2007. You have Spider-Man 1, and then it does well. So you move on to Spider-Man 2, and you go, well, this is new, here we go. This is our sequel that we just made. And then Spider-Man 2 does well, so it's like, all right, let's do that trilogy. Get Spider-Man 3 in there. And now it's, we already have a trilogy planned out for you. Here is when this trilogy is happening, and this trilogy is part of a larger cinematic universe that's made of like 20-something films, along with 5 television series, 6 comic books, and there's almost too much media there for a single person to follow. Obviously, you pick and choose what you're interested in, but if you're interested in all of it, what do you choose, and what are you sacrificing by only, you know, going to Marvel things? So I guess that's my bigger problem, where it's like, they have plans for movies in 2020. They have announced that these films are coming out in 2020, and they have release dates for films through like 2018 or 2019. And that is just a grindhouse of movies. It's just produce, 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 produce. This movie's got to hit this date. Movie's got to hit this date. This movie's got to hit this date. And there's got to be a point where it's just, when's it going to collapse, I guess is my question. And it'll probably collapse once all of these movies are done. That'll be it. They might move on, but I think they'll lose a lot of what's making these movies so good, and that is these actors in these roles. Robert Downey Jr. is like 40-something. He's not going to be able to be Iron Man in 2020 in the same way that he is now or he was in 2008. Same thing with basically every other actor there. So, that being said, Marvel makes good movies, but who knows? Cinematic universes are very tricky to get right. Look at DC. They're having these same problems where they're getting way ahead of themselves, and they have films announced for 2020 about characters that people don't have any name recognition. Again, it's like we're making a Suicide Squad film. You know who 3 of these characters are, but who are the other 3 or the other however many characters? And you have to juggle that, these, smaller movies, smaller being a relative term, smaller in the sense that less people know what it is, with these massive movies like Batman vs. Superman, which was critically just destroyed, but still made $700 million or something like that. Massive amounts of money, even though it's a bad movie by all accounts, or nearly all accounts. And that's kind of where DC's going. It's going into this really gritty, like, reboot universe that doesn't have as much depth as like the Marvel movies, but it's also less fun, and they aren't making movies that they're making superhero movies. They aren't making movies with superheroes, which is why I think they're having a lot of problems with critical reception, because they aren't making a movie that stars superheroes. They're making a superhero movie, and this is the plot. It's not plot, then superheroes, it's superheroes, and then we have to add a plot onto that fight. We have to have a reason why Batman is fighting Superman. And there's a disconnect somewhere in DC about how to make that cinematic universe work. And this is going to keep happening with all these other cinematic universes that are happening, like the Hasbro Toys cinematic universe, such as Transformers, which is happening, and I just can't wrap my head around that. Dwayne Johnson's going to be in some sort of Bourne-related movie, and I don't know how I feel. This has been Matt Mulls over. I've been Matt. I will continue being Matt. I will probably be back again. You might see some editing throughout this film, this piece, whatever you want to call this, geez. There might be like some text that I might throw on the screen somewhere, maybe here, maybe there. I'm part of Mixed Nuts. We are a group of people, college students right now, that make podcasts and other things. And that might keep happening, that might not. Either way, I plan to continue doing things. As you can tell, I don't have a script, and I'm really kind of just going for it. So anyways, this has been Matt Mulls over. This is the 2nd episode, so have a good one.